Hey there, lovely people. It's so good to have you here. Whether you're listening while sipping your coffee, lying in bed, there, or just scrolling through to find that one piece of truth that changes everything. I'm glad you showed up today, there, because what we're about to talk about is something most people never say out loud, but everyone thinks about. Now, I know conversations about intimacy can feel a little awkward, especially when we're digging into what men really want behind closed doors. But here's the thing, understanding your partner on a deeper level isn't just sexy, it's smart. So today, realize that I want to gently back the curtain on something men wish they could say, but often don't know how to. The places on their body, the emotional and physical hot zones, they long for you to notice, explore, and engage with more often. This isn't about tricks or bedroom gymnastics. It's about connection, curiosity, and the kind of boldness that builds unforgettable chemistry. So if you're ready to get real raw there, and maybe even a little bit risky in the most beautiful way, then lean in. Let's talk about the 5 hot zones men secretly wish women explored more in bed. Let's start with something subtle there, something almost innocent, yet wildly powerful, his neck and ears. Now, most women don't realize just how much gold is hiding in this overlooked area, and here's why that matters. Because men, just like women, crave to feel desired in ways that go beyond the obvious. The neck is this intimate middle ground between vulnerability and strength. Realize that you can make a man feel like a king and completely disarmed at the same time. When you lean in slowly, letting your lips barely brush his neck, when you take your time to kiss, not devour, but kiss with intention, when you linger just long enough for your breath to warm his skin. That's where foreplay becomes psychological. You're not just turning on his body, you're turning on his focus. I'm not rushing to the main event, I'm enjoying you. And the ears, that tiny space just behind his lobe where a whisper or a teasing graze can send a full body shiver, that's not just physical sensitivity, that's mental overload in the best way possible. This isn't about being raunchy, it's about presence. It's about knowing that when you explore his neck, trace your fingers up his spine, gently pull his shirt down to expose more skin, or kiss just beneath his jawline. You're showing him that you see the details, that he's not just a body, but an experience. Men aren't used to being savored, and the neck is one of the most emotionally places to do it. You're building anticipation, respect, and tension all at once. Rears that there. And here's the truth most people won't tell you: when a man feels seen in the places he didn't expect to be seen, touched in the spaces he didn't even know craved attention, that's when he feels deeply wanted. Not just sexually wanted, but chosen, desired, valued. And suddenly the dynamic shifts, because now he's not just receiving physical pleasure, he's experiencing emotional seduction. This part of the body, this forgotten zone, has the power to create a moment so electric, so deeply connecting, that it makes everything else feel 10 times more intimate. And it's all because you decided to slow down, to explore instead of perform, to connect instead of rush. So the next time you find yourself with him, don't go for the obvious. Go for his neck, nuzzle in, tease him with your breath, plant a slow kiss, whisper something, anything. Realize that there, because the moment you give attention to this hidden zone, you send a message without ever needing to say it out loud. There, I'm not just here to turn you on, I'm here to turn you inside out. That's how you build anticipation. That's how you create unforgettable chemistry. There. And that's how you make him feel like the only man in the world. Now let's talk about an area that almost no one gives enough attention to: his inner thighs. And I get it, because it's not the first thing we think of when it comes to seduction, right? We tend to go from kissing straight to the obvious destination, thinking that's where the real excitement lies. Realize that there. But let me tell you something powerful. The inner thighs are one of the most overlooked yet insanely charged places on a man's body. And the real magic, it's not even about what you do there. It's about what you don't do. This zones is all about the build-up, the pause, the game between touch and restraint. When you run your hands slowly up his thighs, not rushing, not pressing, they're just barely grazing. You're not just creating arousal, you're building suspense. And it's in that suspense where all the heat lives. Realize there. Think about how many times has someone rushed past that area like it was just a highway to somewhere else. And how rare is it when someone slows down and lingers right before the obvious moment? That's what makes it unforgettable. The inner thighs are filled with nerve endings, yes, but more than that, they're filled with expectation. It's psychological. It's the promise of pleasure without immediate delivery. When you place your lips near but not quite on, when your hand rests just beside but doesn't move too quickly. What you're saying is, realize that I'm in control, I know what I'm doing, and I know exactly how to drive you crazy. And here's what most people don't realize that their men are constantly told that they should be the dominant ones, the initiators, the performers. But when you take control of the pacing, when you tease his inner thighs and make him wait, he finally gets to surrender. And that surrender is where trust is built, where vulnerability opens up, where deeper intimacy begins. Because not just his body that's being stimulated, it's his mind, his ego. His need to be chosen, to be wanted with intention. So trace his thighs with your fingers, use your nails lightly, kiss down slowly and think, pause, let him wonder, let him ache. Let him realize that this moment is not about what's next, it's about now. And that anticipation, it will make everything that follows explode with 10 times more intensity. When you explore this hot zone with care, confidence, and curiosity, you're saying to him, I'm not just here for the goal, I'm here for the journey. And that kind of attention, that kind of mastery over the tease doesn't just arouse him, it imprints on him. It makes him remember you not just as someone he had a night with there, but as someone who understood him, who played with his mind as much as his body and left him breathless for more. So next time, don't skip the phase. That's not just foreplay. They realize that that's power play. Now, this one might surprise you because it's not flashy. It's not what the movies zoom in on. And it's definitely not what people talk about when they're dishing out bedroom tips. But I promise you, it's engaging his lower back and hips. These are what I like to call power zones. Because when you touch a man here, not just igniting sensation, you're tapping directly into how he sees himself. Think about it, we live in a world where men are constantly expected to lead, to hold strong, to be the one you in charge, especially when it comes to intimacy. But when you wrap your arms around his waist, when you let your hands slide down the small of his back, or even better, when you guide his hips with confidence, you're inviting him to surrender, not in a way that weakens him, realize that but in a way that says, you don't have to carry everything right now. I see you and I've got you. And trust me, there is nothing more attractive to a man than feeling like he can let go and still be wanted, still be powerful, still be masculine. This is the zone that's often ignored. Yet when you touch it, when you claim it, he feels grounded, centered, and deeply desired. It's also unbelievably sensitive when given the right attention. The lower back is full of nerve endings, and there's something incredibly erotic about a woman who takes her time there. Whether you're tracing it with your fingers, they're applying just enough pressure with your palms, or kissing your way downward. What you're saying with every move is cue, I see the strength in you and I want to explore all of it. And let's not forget the hips. Guiding a man by the hips isn't just physical, it's psychological. It tells him that you're not afraid to take control, that you know what you want, and you're not timid about asking for it with your body. A gentle tug, a firm hold, even the way your hands wrap around his sides during a moment of intimacy. These small actions speak volumes. They say, I'm here with you, I want to feel all of you, and I want you to feel me right back. And here's the part most people miss. Men don't just crave physical attention, they crave focused attention. They want to feel like you're not just going through the motions, but like you're exploring them, every part of them, with curiosity and appreciation. And when you do that, when you honor his back, his hips, that space just above the curve of his waist, you don't just create a physical spark, you create emotional electricity. He'll feel it in his body, realize that, but he'll remember it in his soul. And that, my friend, is the kind of intimacy that doesn't just end in bed. It echoes long after the lights go out. Let's talk about a part of his body that gets seen all the time, but rarely witnessed, his chest and abs. Now, you might be thinking, come on, realize that everyone looks at a guy's chest, but I'm not talking about looking, I'm talking about appreciating, I'm talking about slowing down there, placing your hands on his chest, not as a transition to something else, but as a destination in itself. Most men walk around with this invisible armor. Society tells them they need to be strong, stook, and emotionally bulletproof. So their chest becomes this literal and symbolic shield. But when you run your fingers down that space, when you kiss it softly, or even just rest your palm there during an intimate moment, what you're saying without words is, I see what you carry. I see the man beneath it, and I admire every inch of you. And let me tell you, that changes everything. When a woman touches a chest and mabs with slow, intentional energy, not to rush, not to grab, not to pass, but to explore. It doesn't just turn him on, it grounds him, because now he's not being objectified, he's being worshipped. And it doesn't matter if he has a six-pack, a dad bod, or anything in between. What matters is that he feels like you want him, really want him. There's this deep, primal sense of pride that comes over a man when he sees a woman tracing the lines of his body with curiosity, maybe planting soft kisses across his sternum. There may be gently dragging her nails down toward his stomach, or even just lying there with your hand rising and falling with his breath. That's not just sexual, that's sacred. You're saying, there, I see you, I admire you, I choose to savor you. And the abs, those abs, not just about fitness or strength, but about tension. That's the place where desire builds. When you give attention there, pressing slightly, teasing around the waistband, moving slowly, it becomes an invitation, not an assumption. You're not rushing, you're revering. Realize that and men don't get that enough. They don't get told their bodies are beautiful, strong, sensual. So when you become the person who reminds him there, who explores his chest like it's a place of value, not just function, you become unforgettable. He may not say it out loud, but inside he'll feel like a god. They realize that like he's not just the one who gives pleasure, but the one who deserves it too. There. And when he feels that, he'll up to you, open in ways you've never seen before, physically, emotionally, even spiritually, because this isn't about lust. It's about adoration there. And adoration has a way of turning regular moments into magnetic ones. So next time, give his chest and abs the kind of love he didn't know he needed. Don't just touch him, see him. Because in a world that asks men to be strong, there's nothing more seductive than a woman who makes him feel safe enough to soften. They realize that now we arrive at the most powerful zone of them all. Not one you can touch with your hands, but one that responds to everything you dog his mind there. Because much as we talk about physical attraction, what most people miss is this. The brain is where real seduction begins and unforgettable connection lives. And for a man, as much as he may enjoy the visual and the physical, what captivates him is the woman who makes him feel, who gets inside his thoughts, who engages with his desires on a level that's intellectual, emotional, and psychological. See, most men won't say this out loud, but they long for a woman who knows how to play with tension, not just in the body, but in conversation. In energy, it's the way you whisper something bold into his ear, the way you look him in the eyes and say what you like, what you're curious about, what you're thinking in that moment. It's the confidence to ask him what he likes without flinching, and the power to tell him what you want without apology. And when you do that, when you invite him to meet you on that level, where communication and anticipation dance together, you create something electric. Because now it's not just sex, it's a game of minds. He's no longer thinking about what's next. He's entirely consumed by you. The tone of your voice, the pacing of your breath, the energy you bring into the room before a single touch happens, that's what makes him ache. And here's the thing: a man wants to feel understood. Even in the most intimate moments, realize that he wants to know you're not just performing, you're present, that you're with him, reading him, responding to him, seeing him. It's the woman who notices the way his body tenses when he's excited, who says, don't hold back, who creates a space where he doesn't have to impress or dominate, but can just be. That woman becomes unforgettable, not because of what she did, but because of how she made him feel. So flirt with his thoughts, surprise him with a bold question in the middle of a quiet moment, laugh during intimacy, compliment the way he touched you, tell him what turned you on about him. Make intimacy a dialogue, not a performance because when you activate a man's mind, when you make him feel wanted, respected, and emotionally safe while still keeping it charged with sensuality, he doesn't just crave your body, he becomes addicted to your presence. And that's what men don't get nearly enough of. They get touched, they heat, but they rarely get someone who knows how to ignite their mind. Do that, and I promise you'll leave a mark that lasts long after the lights fade. Not just in his memory, but in who he becomes with you. Because anyone can arouse his body, but very few know how to seduce his soul. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Yes, these 5 hot zones matter but not because they're secret pleasure buttons or some bedroom checklist. They matter because behind every one of them is a deeper truth men want to be explored, not just touched. They want to feel seen, not just desired. And the most unforgettable moments don't come from technique. They come from presence, from slowing down, from noticing the parts of him the world usually ignores. His neck and ears, they crave tenderness. His inner thighs, they beg for the kind of teasing that builds mental suspense. his lower back and hips. That's where he learns to surrender to you. His chest and abs, that's where appreciation lives. And his mind, that's where you live, long after the moment is over there. Because here's the truth, and any woman can turn a man on, but the woman who connects with him, body, heart, and soul, that's the one he never forgets. So be bold enough to explore him. They are life to see. Be soft enough to see him, and be brave enough to let intimacy become more than just a moment. It becomes a language that only the two of you speak. And when you master that, you don't just please a man, you awaken him.